You arrive just as the sky begins to break. At first, it is only a distant rumble, low and slow, rolling somewhere far beyond the hills that surround the city. The air feels heavier than it should, warm but unmoving, as if the entire world is waiting for something it already knows is coming. Before you, the city of Rome stretches outward, vast and layered, its rooftops fading into shadow as the last light of day disappears behind thickening clouds. The streets are still alive. People move with purpose, though not in panic. Merchants gather the last of their goods. Cloth is pulled from display tables. Wooden shutters close one by one, the soft thud of each echoing briefly before being absorbed into the growing quiet. You step forward. The stones beneath your feet are still warm from the day, but the air has begun to shift. A breeze passes through the narrow street, carrying with it the faint scent of rain and something else. Dust, perhaps, lifted from the roads beyond the city. Another rumble. Closer this time. You look up. The sky above Rome is no longer clear. Dark clouds move slowly, steadily, covering what remains of the fading light. The first flashes of distant lightning appear within them, brief and silent, illuminating their shape for only a moment before disappearing again. You continue walking. The street narrows as it curves between tall insulae, multi-story buildings where much of the city lives stacked above itself. Windows begin to close above you. Voices call out from one level to another. A woman leans out briefly to pull in a hanging cloth, then disappears again. The rhythm of the city is changing, not stopping, just adjusting. You pass a small stall where a man hurriedly ties down a canvas cover, securing it against the wind that is beginning to build. His movements are practiced. This is not the first storm he has seen. Nothing here is unfamiliar, nothing unexpected. And yet, the atmosphere carries a quiet tension, the kind that settles in just before the first drop of rain. You move toward a wider street. Ahead, the space opens into a forum where the scale of the city becomes more visible. Columns rise into the darkening sky, their pale stone catching the last fragments of light. Statues stand motionless, their forms unchanged by weather or time. For a moment, everything feels still. Then, a single drop of rain falls. You feel it against your arm. Cool, sharp, gone almost immediately. Another follows, then another. Slow at first, scattered. You look up again. The sky responds. The rain begins to fall more steadily now, tapping lightly against stone, cloth, and wood. The sound spreads quickly, filling the open space of the forum, echoing softly between the buildings. People move faster now, not running, but no longer lingering. A group of men pull their cloaks tighter around them as they cross the open space. A cart is pushed toward cover. A final stall is abandoned, its owner disappearing into a nearby doorway. The rain continues, steady, building. You walk across the forum, the drops now striking the ground more frequently, forming small dark patterns across the pale stone beneath your feet. The air cools rapidly, the heat of the day replaced by something fresh and sharp. A flash of lightning cuts across the sky. This time, closer. The light reflects briefly off the marble columns, the wet surfaces of the ground, the edges of statues and rooftops. Then, thunder follows, louder, closer. The storm has arrived. You move toward the edge of the forum, where a covered walkway offers partial shelter. The roof above you softens the impact of the rain, but the sound continues around you, constant now, filling the city with a steady rhythm. Water begins to gather along the edges of the street, flowing slowly downward, following the natural slope of the stone. Small streams form, carrying dust and debris with them, reshaping the surface of the road in quiet, continuous motion. You watch it for a moment, the way the water moves, unhurried, unstoppable. The city does not resist it. It adapts. The storm intensifies. Rain falls harder now, striking rooftops, splashing against stone, running down walls in thin, uneven lines. The sound grows deeper, more layered, blending into something almost continuous. And yet, there is calm in it. You step out again, into the rain. The drops strike your shoulders, your arms, your face, cool and immediate. Within moments, the fabric of your clothing grows heavier, absorbing the water, clinging slightly as you move. But there is no discomfort, only sensation, only presence. You walk forward. The streets are nearly empty now. Doors closed, windows dark. The city has retreated inward, but not completely. A faint light glows ahead. You follow it. You follow the faint glow ahead, the rain falling steadily around you now, no longer scattered, but continuous. It fills the space between buildings, softening edges, blurring distance, turning the city into something quieter and more contained. The light comes from a doorway, set slightly back from the street. A domus. The entrance stands open, just enough to allow movement in and out, though most have already passed through. You step closer, pausing briefly beneath the overhang where the rain breaks against the tiled roof and spills down in steady streams. Inside, the air feels warmer. Still, you step across the threshold. The sound of the storm softens immediately, no longer striking directly, but echoing faintly through the structure. The interior courtyard lies ahead, open to the sky, where rain falls into a shallow basin at its center. Water gathers there slowly, forming small ripples that expand and fade with each drop. Around the courtyard, rooms extend outward, their doorways partially covered, lamps burning low within. The light flickers gently, reflecting off damp stone surfaces, casting soft, moving shadows along the walls. A woman moves quietly along the far side, adjusting a cloth that has been pulled inward to keep it dry. She works without urgency, her movement steady, familiar. This is routine. The storm does not disrupt life here. It reshapes it. You walk along the edge of the courtyard, careful not to step into the accumulating water. The air carries a faint scent of oil, wet stone, and something warm. Food, perhaps, prepared earlier in the evening and now resting. From one of the inner rooms, you hear quiet voices, soft, measured, a conversation continuing, unaffected by the rain. You pause briefly, listening, not to the words but to the rhythm of them. There is calm in it, a sense of enclosure, of separation from the outside world. Then you move on. The rain intensifies again above the open courtyard, the drops falling more heavily into the basin now, the sound deeper, more layered. You glance upward. The sky is fully covered, dark. Only occasional flashes of lightning break through, illuminating the space for a brief moment before returning everything to shadow. You continue through the house, passing another room where a man sits near a small table, writing by the light of a single lamp. The flame bends slightly with each movement of air, but remains steady enough to cast a clear glow over the surface before him. He does not look up. His focus remains fixed. The storm exists, but his work continues. You step quietly past. The interior of the house feels insulated from the outside, not silent, but softened. The storm becomes a distant presence here, a steady rhythm beyond walls, rather than something immediate. After a moment, you turn back toward the entrance. The air shifts again as you step outside, cooler, sharper. The rain greets you immediately, stronger now, falling in thick, consistent sheets that strike the ground with force. Water flows more rapidly along the streets, gathering in channels carved into the stone, moving with direction now rather than drifting. You pull your shoulders slightly inward, not to avoid the rain, but to adjust to its weight. You continue walking. The street slopes downward, leading you toward another part of the city. The sound of water grows louder as it collects and moves, rushing through narrow paths, slipping between stones, finding its way toward lower ground. A flash of lightning. Brighter now, closer. For a moment, the entire street is illuminated. You see the textures clearly. The wet stone, the uneven surfaces, the closed doors and shuttered windows. Then darkness returns, followed by thunder, immediate, deep. You pause briefly, feeling the sound as much as hearing it, the vibration moving through the air and into the ground beneath you. Then you continue. Ahead, the street opens again, this time into a larger structure. The baths. Steam rises faintly from within, even in the rain, visible as a soft, shifting cloud near the entrance. The building stands solid against the storm, its walls thick, its presence steady. You step inside. The change is immediate. Warmth surrounds you. The air is filled with moisture, but of a different kind. Not the sharp, cool rain from outside, but a gentle, enveloping heat that softens everything it touches. The sound of the storm becomes distant again, replaced by quieter elements. Water moving slowly. Soft voices echoing through stone halls. The occasional ripple in a pool. You walk forward. The interior is lit by oil lamps placed along the walls, their reflections shimmering across the surface of the water in the bathing rooms. The light moves gently, never still, never harsh. A few figures remain here, even at this hour. Sitting, resting, submerged partially in the warm water. They do not speak much. They do not move quickly. The storm outside has not driven them away. It has drawn them inward. You step closer to one of the pools. The surface of the water is calm, disturbed only by small, slow movements. Steam rises steadily, blurring the edges of the room, softening everything into something almost dreamlike. You sit at the edge, not entering, just observing. The contrast between outside and inside becomes clear. The storm and this, movement and stillness, both existing at the same time, neither interrupting the other. You listen. The faint sound of rain against the roof above. The quiet shifting of water within the pool. The soft echo of a voice somewhere further inside. All blending into a single, continuous presence. You remain there for a while. The warmth begins to settle into you. Your breathing slows, matches the pace of the space around you. Then, gradually, you stand. The pull of the night outside returns. You move back toward the entrance. The air cools again as you approach, and when you step outside once more, the storm is still there, unchanged, steady. The rain continues to fall, washing over the city, flowing through its streets, reshaping its surfaces in quiet, constant motion. You step back into it and continue walking. You step back into the rain, the warmth of the baths fading behind you as the cool air settles again across your skin. The storm has not weakened. If anything, it has found its rhythm now. Steady, confident, no longer building, but sustained. Water runs freely along the streets, forming narrow streams that follow the slopes of the city. The sound is constant, not loud, not chaotic, just continuous. You walk slowly, adjusting to it, each step careful, measured. The city feels different now. Not empty, but quiet, in a deeper way. Most doors remain closed. Light flickers faintly behind some of them, but the streets themselves belong to the storm. You turn down a narrower path. The buildings press closer here, creating a corridor where the rain falls in uneven patterns, interrupted by overhanging roofs and balconies above. Drops strike stone, wood, cloth, each surface creating its own sound, blending into the larger rhythm. You pass beneath a small archway. For a moment, the rain lessens, then returns. Beyond the arch, the street slopes upwards slightly, leading toward a structure that rises above the surrounding homes. A temple. Its columns stand tall against the dark sky. The steps leading upward, slick with rain, reflecting faint flashes of lightning. The entrance is partially sheltered, but the interior remains open enough that the storm still reaches inside in softer forms. You climb the steps, slowly. Water gathers at the edges, spilling down in thin streams that trace the contours of the stone. At the top, you pause. The columns frame the city behind you. Dark, wet, quiet. You step inside. The air changes again, cooler than the baths, but calmer than the street. A few small flames burn within, protected by stone enclosures that shield them from the wind. Their light flickers gently, illuminating parts of the interior while leaving others in shadow. The sound of rain becomes softer here, filtered, distant. You walk across the stone floor. Your footsteps echo slightly, then fade. At the center, a small altar stands, its surface simple, marked by use rather than decoration. A few offerings rest there, small, deliberate, placed with care. Nothing elaborate, nothing excessive, just present. A figure stands near the far side of the temple, still, head slightly lowered. You do not approach. You remain at a distance. The figure does not move. The storm continues outside. Lightning flashes again, briefly illuminating the interior, casting long shadows from the columns across the floor. Then darkness returns, followed by thunder, muted now by the structure. You sit, not on the altar, but near one of the columns, where the stone is dry. The space invites stillness, not forced, not required, just natural. You listen. The rain, soft now, with a faint movement of air through the temple. The quiet presence of another person, sharing the space without interaction. Everything feels balanced. The storm continues its work outside, but here, it becomes background, a distant rhythm. You remain there for a while. Your breathing slows again, matches the calm of the space. Time stretches, not in a noticeable way, just gently. Then, gradually, the intensity of the storm begins to shift, not stopping, but changing. The rain softens slightly, the drops less forceful, the sound less dense. The thunder grows more distant, the lightning less frequent. You open your eyes. The space looks the same, but feels different, lighter. You stand slowly. The figure at the far end of the temple has not moved, or perhaps has returned to stillness so completely that movement no longer registers. You turn toward the entrance. Step by step, you move back toward the outside, and when you reach it, the rain is still there, but softer now, more spaced. The city begins to re-emerge. Not fully, but gradually. You step down from the temple. The stone is still wet, but no longer flooded. Water continues to move along the streets, but slower, less urgent. You walk again. The air feels clearer now, cooled, refreshed. The scent of the city has changed. Dust washed away. Stone cleaned. Everything sharper, more defined. A door opens nearby. A man steps out, looking up at the sky. He waits for a moment, then steps further into the street. Testing the rain, he does not rush back inside. Others begin to do the same. Small movements, small returns. The city, waking from within the storm. You continue walking. The sky above begins to lighten slightly, not from the sun, but from the thinning clouds. The storm has not ended, but it has passed its peak, and in its place, a new quiet begins to form, different from before. Not heavy, not tense, just open. You walk through it, slowly. The city around you settling again, and the night, once filled with storm, am now shifting towards something softer, something calmer, something that carries you gently forward as everything returns to stillness. You continue along the street as the rain softens further, no longer striking the ground with force, but falling in a lighter, more scattered rhythm. The streams that formed along the edges begin to slow, their movement less urgent, their sound quieter. The city feels different now, not asleep, not fully awake, somewhere in between. A transition. You notice more doors opening as you walk, not all at once, but gradually. A wooden shutter lifts slightly. A narrow doorway widens. Light spills gently into the street, warmer now against the cool air left behind by the storm. A man steps out, carrying a small lantern, holding it low as he looks along the ground, checking the flow of water near his threshold. He adjusts a stone slightly with his foot, redirecting a small stream away from the entrance to his home. He works quietly, without interruption. This is not unusual. The storm has passed before, and it will again. You move on. The stones beneath your feet are slick, but no longer submerged. Water clings to their surface, reflecting faint light from above. Your steps are slower now, not out of caution, but because the pace feels natural. The air is cooler, cleaner, easier to breathe. You pass beneath another archway, where the rain barely reaches. The sound of it reduced to a soft echo beyond the shelter. For a moment, everything feels still again. Then you step back out. The sky has changed. You continue along the street as the rain softens further, no longer striking the ground with force, but falling in a lighter, more scattered rhythm. The streams that formed along the edges begin to slow, their movement less urgent, their sound quieter. The city feels different now. Not asleep, not fully awake, somewhere in between. A transition. You notice more doors opening as you walk. Not all at once, but gradually. A wooden shutter lifts slightly. A narrow doorway widens. Light spills gently into the street, warmer now against the cool air left behind by the storm. A man steps out, carrying a small lantern, holding it low as he looks along the ground, checking the flow of water near his threshold. He adjusts a stone slightly with his foot, redirecting a small stream away from the entrance to his home. He works quietly, without interruption. This is not unusual. The storm has passed before, and it will again. You move on. The stones beneath your feet are slick, but no longer submerged. Water clings to their surface, reflecting faint light from above. Your steps are slower now, not out of caution, but because the pace feels natural. The air is cooler, cleaner, easier to breathe. You pass beneath another archway, where the rain barely reaches, the sound of it reduced to a soft echo beyond the shelter. For a moment, everything feels still again. Then you step back out. The sky has changed. The clouds are beginning to break apart, slowly, unevenly, revealing small openings where the darkness gives way to something lighter. You look up. Through one of these openings, a few stars return. Faint, but present, You continue walking. The path leads you back toward a more open part of the city, where the buildings fall away slightly and the streets widen. Here, the effects of the storm are more visible. Water pools in shallow areas, reflecting fragments of sky. Debris gathers at the edges. Small branches, loose straw, pieces of cloth that have been carried by the wind and rain. But there is no damage. Only change. The city holds. It always has. You slow your pace as you approach another open space. A smaller forum. Less grand than the one before, but still defined by columns and stone. The ground here is wet, but no longer flooded. The sound of dripping water replaces the sound of falling rain, each drop landing softly from rooftops and ledges above. You step into the center and pause. The air is quiet again. Not silent, but calm. A different kind of calm than before the storm. This one feels earned. You take a slow breath. The scent of wet stone fills the space, mixed with traces of oil, wood, and distant smoke now rising again as fires are relit within homes. A faint glow appears in the distance. Dawn. Still far, but approaching. You remain where you are. The city continues to shift around you. More movement now. A woman crosses the edge of the forum carrying a basket, her steps steady, her path familiar. She does not rush. The night has not ended, but her work begins again. A boy follows behind her briefly, then turns down another street, disappearing into shadow. The rhythm of life returns, quietly, naturally. You turn slowly. The sky continues to open. The clouds move apart, revealing more of what lies beyond them. The darkness softens, losing its weight, becoming something lighter, something that prepares the way for morning. You begin to walk again. The streets feel wider now, more open, the city less enclosed. You pass by the same buildings you saw earlier, but they appear different now. Not because they have changed, but because the light has. Edges are clearer, shadows less deep, details easier to see. You move without direction, letting the city guide you. The storm is gone now. Only its presence remains in the wet stone, in the cool air, in the slow return of sound. You reach a gentle rise in the street and step upward, gaining a slightly higher view of the city. From here, you can see rooftops stretching outward, glistening faintly, catching the first hints of light from the sky above. Rome is still quiet, but no longer resting. You stand there for a moment, watching, breathing. The night has passed through its storm. The city has absorbed it. And now, everything settles. Not into sleep, but into continuity. You take one last slow breath, and as the first real light of morning begins to form in the distance, you remain there, within the calm that follows, where nothing needs to happen, and everything simply continues. You remain there a little longer, watching as the light continues to form, slowly, almost imperceptibly, spreading across the sky in soft layers. It does not arrive all at once. It builds. The clouds that once carried the storm now drift apart, thinner, lighter, revealing more space between them. The darkness above Rome fades into a pale grey, then something softer, something warmer just beneath it. The rooftops catch it first, a faint glow, then the upper edges of the columns in the distance, then the stone streets below. You begin to walk again. The city feels open now, not exposed, just revealed. The sounds return gradually, not sudden, not overwhelming. A door opening, a voice calling softly from one building to another, the faint movement of carts being adjusted, prepared for the day. Everything begins again, but slowly. You walk down the slope, your steps quieter now against the damp stone. The water that had gathered in the streets continues to move, but more gently. Small streams find their way into deeper channels, disappearing beneath grates and openings built into the structure of the city. Nothing is wasted, nothing left unaccounted for. You pass by the same narrow street where earlier the rain had fallen in uneven patterns. Now it lies calm. The surface is still wet, but no longer moving. A man stands outside his home, looking upward, as if measuring the sky, confirming what has already become clear. The storm is over. He steps forward, placing a wooden plank across a shallow stream to create a dry path. He works without pause, already adjusting to the next moment. You continue. The forum ahead appears again, but this time in early light. The columns stand brighter now, their surfaces reflecting the soft morning glow. The statues that once blended into shadow now emerge fully, their details visible again. The space feels larger, clearer, more defined. You walk across it slowly. The stones beneath your feet no longer slick, but damp, cool, steady. The air carries a different scent now, less of rain, more of earth, of life returning, of fires beginning to burn again in kitchens and courtyards. A merchant sets out a small table at the edge of the square, not fully arranged, just the beginning. A cloth placed down, a few items set carefully upon it. The day has not started, but it is preparing. You pass him without interruption. Further ahead, the streets widen once more, leading you toward the outer edges of the city. The gates stand open now, just slightly, enough to allow early movement beyond the walls. You approach. The guards are there, as before, but their posture is different, relaxed, the tension of the storm gone. One of them leans slightly against the stone, looking out beyond the city, watching the first light spread across the land outside. You step closer to the edge and look out. The fields beyond Rome stretch quietly into the distance. The ground darkened by the rain, the air still carrying a faint mist that rises slowly as the temperature shifts. Everything feels fresh, renewed. The world has not changed, but it has been reset. You stand there for a moment, letting the calm settle fully. The storm has passed. The night has ended. And what remains is something quieter, steadier. You take a slow breath and let it go. Then you turn and begin to walk back into the city, now fully awake, now moving forward, carrying with it the memory of the storm, but no longer held by it. The rhythm continues, as it always has, as it always will, and you move within it, slowly, quietly, as the morning takes hold and the night becomes something that has already passed, leaving only calm behind. You continue back into the city, the light growing a little stronger with each step. It does not rush. It settles. The streets begin to fill, but gently. A few more figures appear, moving with purpose, but without urgency. The day has not yet fully begun. It is still forming, just as the light is. You pass by a small bakery, where the first signs of activity have already started. The door is open, and a soft warmth moves outward into the street. Inside, someone works quietly, placing bread into a low oven, the faint crackle of fire barely reaching beyond the threshold. The scent drifts outward, subtle, grounding. You slow for a moment, noticing how different the air feels now. The sharpness of the storm has faded. What remains is clean, steady, and calm. You move on. The stones beneath your feet begin to dry in places, though some still hold the dark imprint of rain. As you walk, the sound of your steps changes slightly, from soft and muted to more defined. The city is finding its rhythm again. You pass a group of workers adjusting a wooden cart, its wheels still damp from the night. They speak briefly, then lift together, aligning it with the path ahead. Their movements are practiced, efficient, quietly coordinated. Nothing is wasted here. Not effort, not time. You continue along a wider road now, where the space between buildings allows more light to settle. The sky above has cleared further, revealing a pale, steady blue behind the last fragments of cloud. The storm feels distant already, not forgotten, but complete. You reach another open area where a small fountain trickles gently now, fed by the same water that moved through the streets earlier. The flow is controlled here, directed, shaped by the structure around it. You pause beside it. The sound is soft, continuous, a quiet echo of the night's movement. You watch the water for a moment, the way it gathers, then releases, then gathers again. There is no urgency in it, only consistency. A woman approaches, carrying a clay vessel. She fills it carefully, holding it steady beneath the stream, then lifts it and turns away without hesitation. The act is simple, repeated countless times, and yet it feels complete. You begin walking again, the city now fully awake, though still calm, still measured. Voices increase slightly, but never overwhelm. The movement grows, but remains controlled. Everything fits. You move without direction, letting the streets guide you one final time, past the forum, past the narrow alleys, past the homes that now stand open to the day. The light continues to rise. Not harsh, not bright, just present. You feel the shift fully now. The transition is complete. The night, with its storm, its quiet, its depth, has passed into memory. What remains is its effect. Clean air, washed stone, a city reset and continuing. You take one last slow breath and let it out. There is nothing more to follow, nothing more to observe, only continuation. Rome moves forward, and you move with it, quietly, steadily, as the morning settles into place and the rhythm of the city resumes, unchanged, uninterrupted, and endless. You continue forward, though now there is less to follow, and more simply to exist within. The city no longer unfolds in scenes. It settles into a rhythm. The light has fully taken hold. Soft gold spreads across the upper edges of the buildings, then gradually lowers, touching windows, doors, and finally, the streets themselves. The last traces of dampness begin to fade, leaving behind a faint sheen on the stone that catches the morning glow. You notice how the sounds have changed again. No longer the distant echo of the storm, no longer the quiet murmur of night. Now it is something steady, balanced. Voices carry more clearly, but remain measured. Footsteps become more frequent, but not rushed. The movement of carts, the opening of stalls, the beginning of trade, all of it builds slowly, layer by layer. You walk through it without interruption. There is no longer a need to observe closely. Everything is understood. The city has returned to itself. You pass the same streets once more, though they feel different now, not because they have changed, but because they no longer hold tension. The uncertainty of the storm has passed. What remains is continuity. A man arranges goods at his stall. A child runs briefly across a narrow path, then is called back. A woman sweeps water from the threshold of her home, pushing the last traces of the night back into the street, where they disappear into the channels below. Each action small, complete, unremarkable. And yet, together, they form the whole. You slow your steps, not because you are tired, but because there is nowhere left to go. The movement has come full circle, From arrival, to storm, to stillness, to renewal. You find a place at the edge of a quiet street and pause for a final moment. The air is warm again now, not heavy as before, just steady. The sky is clear, the city fully awake, and the rhythm continues without you needing to follow it further. You take one last breath, slow, even, and then you let everything settle. No more movement, no more transition, only the quiet continuation of a world that does not stop, does not pause, but flows endlessly from one moment into the next. And within that flow, you remain for a brief moment longer, before the scene fades completely into the calm of day. The light continues to settle across the city, steady now, no longer changing as quickly. What was once transition becomes consistency. You remain where you are for a moment longer, not moving, simply allowing the rhythm around you to pass without needing to follow it. The sounds, the motion, the warmth of the air, all of it exists without asking anything from you. A cart rolls slowly across the far end of the street, wood against stone, a steady, familiar sound. It passes, and the space returns to quiet again, not empty, but balanced. You notice how little stands out now. Nothing draws your attention strongly. Nothing pulls you forward. Everything is equal. Everything is enough. The city no longer reveals itself in moments or scenes. It exists as a whole, complete and uninterrupted, continuing in the way it always has, regardless of who passes through it. You take a slow breath. The air feels different than before. Warmer, still, carrying none of the sharpness of the storm, none of the cool edge of the night, only the steady presence of morning, fully formed. You let the breath go and remain still. There is no need to walk further, no need to observe more. The experience has settled. The movement has ended. What remains is quiet continuity, the kind that does not change, the kind that does not ask for attention, only to exist. You feel the last traces of motion leave you. The urge to move fades. The need to follow anything disappears. And in its place, there is stillness. Not the stillness of night, not the stillness before something begins, but the stillness after everything has already happened, complete. You close your eyes slowly. The sounds remain, but they feel distant now, soft, blended, no longer separate, just part of a continuous background that does not need to be understood. Your breathing slows again, matches that same quiet rhythm, in and out. Nothing changes. Nothing needs to. The city continues. The day begins, and you remain within that final calm, where everything has settled into place, and nothing more is required. Only rest, only quiet, only the steady, uninterrupted flow of time moving forward, without effort, without interruption, without end. You remain there, eyes closed, as the city continues without asking for your attention. The sounds do not disappear. They soften. They blend into something even, something steady, something that no longer separates one moment from the next. A distant voice, a passing step, the faint roll of a wheel. Each sound arrives, then fades, without leaving anything behind. Your breathing follows the same pattern, in and out, slow, unforced. The warmth of the morning settles gently across your skin. It does not press, it rests. Like everything else now, it exists without demand. Time moves, but it does not feel like movement. It feels like presence. A continuous line that does not need to be followed or measured. You notice how your body feels lighter again. Not in motion, not drifting, just at ease. Completely at rest. The ground beneath you feels steady. unchanging, reliable. The same surface that carried you through the night, through the rain, through the quiet moments between. Now it holds you without movement, without direction. The memory of the storm lingers faintly, not as sound, not as sensation, just as something that has already passed, complete, resolved. You do not return to it. There is no need. Everything has moved forward. The city has continued, and so have you. Your breathing slows further. Each inhale softer, each exhale longer, until even that becomes part of the background, barely noticeable, barely there. The sounds around you fade even more, not because they stop, but because your awareness no longer reaches toward them. They exist, but you remain within something quieter, something deeper. The light continues to fill the city, but you do not see it. You only feel the warmth that comes with it. Steady, even. The rhythm holds. Nothing interrupts it. Nothing changes it. There is no longer a sense of before or after. Only this. Only rest. The last edges of awareness begin to soften again, not fading completely, but becoming lighter, less defined, like the final traces of night disappearing into morning. You remain there, held within that quiet, steady space, where everything has already happened, everything continues, and nothing more is needed. Only stillness, only calm, only the gentle, uninterrupted presence of a world that moves on while you rest within it. The stillness settles even further, gently, without any clear moment of change. It does not deepen in a noticeable way. It simply remains, steady and complete, holding everything in place. Your breathing continues, soft, even, barely distinct from the quiet around you. In and out. There is no effort in it, no awareness, guiding it. It moves on its own, just as the city moves, just as the day unfolds, without needing to be followed. The sounds that once felt present now feel distant, not gone, just further away, blended into something continuous, something that does not ask to be separated or understood. A voice passes somewhere beyond, then fades. Footsteps cross the stone, then dissolve. Nothing lingers. Nothing remains. Only the quiet. The warmth of the morning continues to rest lightly around you, steady and unchanged. It does not grow stronger. It does not shift. It simply holds, like the ground beneath you, like the air that surrounds you. There is no need to open your eyes, no need to return to movement. Everything is already complete. The night has passed. The storm has passed. The city has continued. And now, there is only rest. Your body feels lighter still, not moving, not drifting, just present, without weight, without tension, completely at ease. The last traces of thought fade gently, without resistance, without interruption. They do not need to be pushed away. They simply soften, then disappear into the same quiet space that holds everything else. There is no direction now, no path, no next moment to follow. Only this one, extended, unchanging. You remain within it, carried not by movement, but by stillness, held not by effort, but by absence of it. And as everything continues beyond you, the city, the day, the steady rhythm of life, you rest within something deeper, something quieter, where nothing needs to happen and nothing needs to be understood. Only calm, only stillness, only the quiet continuation of everything without you needing to follow it any further. The quiet remains, steady and unbroken, as if it has settled into its final form. There is no longer a sense of transition, no movement from one state into another. Everything has already arrived where it needs to be, Your breathing continues in the same soft rhythm, in and out, slow, even. It no longer stands apart from the rest of the stillness. It blends into it, becoming part of the same quiet presence that surrounds everything. There is no need to notice it, no need to follow it. It simply continues. The warmth of the morning rests gently across you, unchanged. The air does not move in any way that calls attention. It remains light, steady, calm. The sounds of the city are now distant enough that they no longer shape your awareness. They exist, but without definition, without direction. A soft background that holds no edges. Nothing stands out. Nothing interrupts. Everything flows without being observed. You feel no urge to move, no need to adjust. Your body rests exactly as it is, without tension, without weight, supported completely by the ground beneath you. The sense of time has disappeared entirely. There is no before, no after, no awareness of passing, only presence. Still, complete. The memory of the night, the storm, the movement through the city. All of it has softened into something that no longer needs to be held. It exists somewhere beyond this moment, but it does not return. There is nothing to revisit, nothing to continue. Everything has already resolved. The last fragments of awareness begin to soften even more, not fading abruptly, but dissolving slowly, gently, as if they were never separate from the stillness to begin with. There is no effort in this, no decision, no action, only a quiet settling, the kind that does not end, the kind that does not change. And within that stillness, you remain without movement, without thought, without need, resting fully in the calm that holds everything exactly as it is.